Perfect. Today we are live with Alexandre Hoffmann. He is currently the managing partner at Passion Digital. Alex has had gathered 11 plus years of digital marketing experience with both client and agency side, and has some really incredible experience under his belt and some really interesting stories through his career progression. So we are very excited to bring Alex on today. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm there, I think. Thank you. How are you?
All good. Thanks so much for coming on. And yeah, we're very excited to chat to you today on the SEO Leadership webinar. Alex, to kick things off, could you tell us a little bit about your career progression, how you got into SEO, and how you got to your current role now as managing partner at Passion Digital?
Yeah, of course. Well, that was so long ago. I started, the reason I went to SEO first is I love websites. I started building websites when I was 10, 11. So before smartphones, before anything. And I just loved
Wow.
how HTML, CSS worked. So when I did my uni, I always knew I wanted to work something within websites. Not developer, I didn't know. And the reality actually is that I was looking for an internship at the time, and someone offered me an SEO exec role because it was French. So they needed someone French. So I said, you know what, I'll give it a go. It sounds interesting. And I started like this. Basically, started as the exec role in a big network agency, and everything stemmed from there. So that's how I started. And then I really liked SEO because it was like a game for me. Still, it was like a game for me. Is trying to build the algorithm, and I found joy in doing it. So some kind of challenge, and I think that is what really allowed me to progress over the last 10 years. Is I really treated this job as a game, and it's a rankings game. You got to be number one. So being passionate about it and really loving the job really helped moving up. So I did this. I did worked in network for a year, and then I made what some people said a risky move. I moved to a startup agency with no clients, moving from Dentsu. So as a senior exec, but I trusted my manager. I really trusted him. He was very, very good to me.
Mm.
And and that's when it all started. Basically, we built a business from scratch during 4.5, 5 years I was there. So started as a senior account executive, and straight away it wasn't your day-to-day normal network agency work. It was like you got to do everything.
Mm.
There's five of us on a cardboard box. You know, the business grew quickly. We got more clients, but it really, the one thing I really enjoyed is that you had to work hard on so many different aspects of the business, and that really made me feel like I was part of something. So that was the start of my career, and it really, really worked towards it because everybody was there as it was our business. It was their business. I was the first employee, but I felt part of it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, we didn't have the structure as big network. We didn't have like training sessions. We didn't have guides. We didn't have all these things. No, it was like you wake up in the morning, you do, you learn, you work, and you try to make it happen. So I did that for a few years. Then I got to as a technical director, if I remember. I love tech. I'm a nerd. I love optimizing websites, everything coding. That's my jam. And once I reached the point I was ahead of SEO in the company, that's where my career diverged a bit. So there was someone above me, and I didn't want to leave because I was quite loyal. I really value loyalty, and I think it's very important for people that tend to jump around everywhere.
Mm.
So I said, you know what? We don't have an analytics team. I'll just learn how to do it and create the whole department from scratch, which I did for 2 years and became head of analytics with a team of 3. We did a CRO offering and launched basically all these departments, which was another very interesting thing, because like I had no one to teach me. It was just long hours of researching, reading, trying, testing, to launch this department. I ended up being the head of analytics there. Then then I decided to part ways. I think it was almost 5 years. And I thought, I've been through the growth of the company. I know how it is. I think now it's time. I've been loyal. So I moved to another agency, more in the media side, where it was 11 months, but very much a big project of setting up all their MarTech and all the ad tech setup, which I've learned everything through CRM. But again, I didn't know how to do these things. So it was very much 11 months of training, doing, trying, implementing, etc. Which leads to the job today at Passion Digital. It's going to be 4 years next month, where I started back in SEO because they needed someone to grow the team, basically grow the team, growing faster, and then someone a bit more technical as well. So I started as head of SEO. Then I moved, when the head of content left, I moved to the head of organic. So I merged the SEO and content team together to make an organic marketing team, to just streamline a bit our processes and everything. And today, someone took my place, and now I'm a partner at Passion, which means I still do some SEO on key projects. I love migrations and all these things. I still support on strategy, but my role today, with all the experience I had in the past, and this is very important, because the more, when you're young, you try to learn about different things. When you get to a position of leadership, you can actually leverage this. So now a lot more on optimization of processes, AI, how to streamline, make things more efficient, and train the teams on this.
Brilliant. Alex, I've got quite a few questions on that.
Yeah.
One of them, initially, whenever you moved to that startup, I take it, did you learn a lot more in that maybe first 6 months to a year than what you did working with the bigger agency? Just because it's so much more fast paced, learning about client acquisition, sort of the best team structures and stuff like that.
I would say yes, and it's a different kind of learning. So if I put them next to each other, I don't say one is better than the other, because obviously it depends on everyone and who they are, the personality, etc. The first 6 months in big network was very structured, which was quite good. When you don't know anything, you had all the training guides, the intranet, the reviews, everything was monitored. You have the same explanation for every exec. It's all very much standardized, which can be quite good for someone who is not really confident or too confident on going on their own. The other side is startup, is you have to be able to rely a lot on yourself, a lot of it. Like when you work in a startup, well, your manager is also doing loads of thousands of different things, from finance, operation, HR. So you have to be willing to try things by yourself, and I guess you grow a lot quicker. I think you get confidence a lot faster. You fail a lot more sometimes, but those failures allow you to grow, because it's not regimented. It's a bit more free. I don't know. It's a bit more free. So I think both are good. Depending on the personality you are, and your ability, basically, of self-reliance.
And to go back, obviously, I take it you're involved in the hiring process at the minute with Passion Digital and probably a few of the other companies you've worked for in the past. Would you recommend to junior SEOs or people coming into SEO at the minute to maybe start off at a smaller agency where you probably get exposed to things a lot quicker than maybe a large agency where there's so much of a structure that it's hard to get stuck into it?
It will depend on the mentality. Not the mentality, how do you say that? On the mindset of the person. You can really see if someone. I'm going to be very honest. The way I see the world, it's like when you interview someone, and in the interview, well, there might be 20, 21, 22, but they already built 3 websites. They tried 2 businesses. They sold really online. Yeah, go for it. Like, you are that kind of person. On the other hand, if you have someone who's going to ask you, for example, okay, what's going to be my 90-day plan? Will I have weekly reviews? Will I have this? Will I have that? Then you can feel that person will need a lot more hand-holding, which is fine, because we are passionate, we do it as well. We have those processes. But if we didn't have them in a world where you actually a startup, this person might actually be better starting in a place that is a bit more organized for them. I mean, there's nothing wrong about either. It's just your personality.
Brilliant.
Awesome. You mentioned how when you were moving into the startup, how you trusted your manager a lot during that transition. What sort of, if you could pinpoint a few aspects that made you trust your manager a lot, or attributes that you looked up to in your manager, could you name some of those? And has it sort of like influenced and helped inspire your sort of management style in future roles?
Yeah, no, 100%. I guess I was thrown in the deep end very, very quickly. There was no half measures. Like first 3 weeks was just thrown in a massive information architecture project for a massive brand with little input, and it was just like, that's the project, go. But there was always good feedback behind it, and there was trust. The person, he always trusted me, and even she before, like they always trusted me to do the job. And I think that transpires today in my way of working with team, which doesn't work all the time, if I'm honest. I'm very much of a throw in the deep end kind of person, sink or swim, which for newer generations today might not be the right approach sometimes, which I recognize that now. But trusting your manager means like you can talk to that person. You can talk to him, they will listen to you. They're not there to be necessarily your pals, you like a colleague, but there's an honest conversation, there's honest talks, like they will give honest feedback, even if it's bad. But I think allowing them to trust you, like you can do this, just do it, that's important. If you start having micromanagement, that's where it doesn't really work, because if you don't get the trust, you don't follow basically the leadership.
Excellent. And Alex, one thing I know from obviously speaking just before the call and stuff like that, and actually on your LinkedIn profile, is that you guys at the minute, you're developing new offerings quite consistently. So like, AI tools to help obviously internal processes and, even some external processes for your clients and things like that as well. How crucial at the minute, because we're seeing a lot of clients maybe putting off hiring or slowing down because it's taking them longer to sign their clients as well. How important is it to have tools like that that are internal to yourselves and offer like a differentiation to your competitors?
I think it's crucial. Always innovating is important in that space. I'm not talking about creating enterprise solutions because we're agencies, but little things that help in the everyday life of the team, first of all, is good, because agencies today, it takes more time to get clients, to recruit. Budgets are a bit smaller at the moment because of the economy and everything. So we ask the team to do more. Obviously, inflation, all that. So having tools and tech that allows them to work smarter. I wouldn't say it is faster, yes, but fast for the sake of fast is not good. What you want is to be smart, is know when to use tools and tech to help yourself during the day. And I think that's crucial, because one, it's good for the clients because they see that, they following the trends and they always looking at what's outside, because otherwise you become very obsolete as an agency. If you're still looking at Google in 1998, you wouldn't be there anymore. Basically, you constantly need to evolve. And I feel like the team likes it a bit because it breaks up the day. And if you come and help them with things that will help them, they will be happy with you because they think, oh, cool, well, they're thinking about us and not just churning out work and adding more work on top of what we have. They trying to find solutions for what is happening in the agency world at the moment.
Brilliant. And just out of curiosity, do you sort of use that to your advantage when you're going on client pitches and stuff like that? Do you show them the tools that you guys are using to maybe add more value to them?
We don't necessarily at the moment show the tools, but we explain how we can use them. Tools with AI is quite tricky at the moment because nobody really trusts it. So if you say, oh, we use all the AI, they're going to say, I'm not too sure about you guys because maybe you just need that to cut corners, which a lot of people do. So now we're trying to be careful about how we use it and how we explain how we use it. Because obviously for us, the only thing that matters is results for our clients. And they need to be sustainable. It can't be just a quick fix or there's no silver bullet, And so it's how you use it that's important more than just using it.
Brilliant. And just to go back, you mentioned obviously at the minute you're doing more of the operational side of things as well.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to quite a few sort of head of SEOs recently. How do you successfully manage the P&L of an SEO department? And do you have any sort of tips for maybe senior SEO managers or head of SEOs that have taken up a new role and this is maybe their first time managing the full money side of the department?
Yeah. I mean, when I started doing it, it was very, very new to me. And it comes with time. It's not easy. I mean, what really helped me at the time is asking our finance director to actually explain to me how those things work. Having that open channel. It's a bit harder in big networks, but in smaller places, it's training sessions, understanding what it means, how it works, reading about it, how to manage it. But ultimately, the P&L is a reflection of your team, just in numbers. So the more you know your team, the easier it is to manage your P&L. Because you have all the information about your team, the costs, the freelancers and everything. But if you know your team very well, you know basically who's going to get promoted, who is not, who might leave. So, and that goes into your budget. You can plan for your budget. So I would say a tip is just like, it's hard. Yes, it's hard. But don't feel like you need to be a whiz about it on your first week. It takes time. It takes time and support, and talk to the people above you to support you on it. And there's no silly questions. Like, it's fine not to know about P&L because if you've done SEO all your life, it's a complete alien bit. Like, you've not done that before, so don't feel like you have to. And ask around from the get-go to understand how it works. How it works.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Awesome. Just on the topic of asking around, when you moved into, actually throughout your entire career progression, if we look at like going from that SEO exec role and right through to head off roles, did you ever in those moments experience imposter syndrome? And do you have any tips to, especially managers, for example, on how they can help tackle areas of imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I mean, imposter syndrome, we talk a lot about it. And like, you can have it at different levels, obviously, as I said, like as a manager, let's say an SEO account manager, I think like the reason why people might have imposter syndrome in businesses sometimes because they're not supported by the team necessarily. When I say supported, I'm not talking about your weekly catch up and format and all this. It's about understanding the person, and imposter syndrome comes with confidence. And confidence, some people have it and they're cocky and that's fine. And you have these people, but some people need outside verification, and the key is to find these employees and help them. If you have imposter syndrome, I guess talk to your manager and say, like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Can you help me do this? Because sometimes what I've noticed, like when it happened to me, especially when I started being a head of or a director, is that I didn't have anyone in analytics, for example, managing me. It was all on my own. All I saw was things on LinkedIn, people doing like social media, and I thought, why am I the right person for the job? I don't know. At the end of the day, if somebody chose you to be in that role and a senior to you, they have their reason. So to tackle it, it's communication. Is as soon as you start spinning in your head, it's going to get worse. Talk to people around you, not necessarily your manager. Talk to people around, to get validation from it, because that builds confidence. And once the confidence is built, that's when the imposter syndrome slowly disappears. Yeah, that's what I would say. It's tricky because everybody's different. Everybody's different, and it can appear because I was very, very confident up until my senior manager, because I loved my job. I was good at it. Like results were great on the account. So, and it's when I moved to managing people, and that's when you wonder, am I the right person? Like, will they listen to me? That's where it gets sometimes tricky. So talk to other heads off. Make sure to get validation and tips on how to improve. And you still improve. I still have it today sometimes. You have ups, you have downs, but focus on your goals and your objectives, and have a list of things you do. And the more you tick them off, the more the confidence comes, and the more you can do different projects, I would say.
Awesome. Alexander, the more you spoke about using sometimes the P&L to forecast a lot of different things within the department. Obviously, finding the right time to hire is one of the trickiest things to sort of gauge. Do you have any tips? We see a lot of companies maybe very sort of reactionary to hiring, so they land 2 or 3 big accounts, and all of a sudden they're panicking trying to get people in through the door. Do you have any sort of tips or tools or anything like that you use to try and get a sort of an accurate forecast on when you need to pull the trigger on hiring?
Yeah, I mean, there is the P&L. Let's say if you have a team, there's a P&L what you currently do. So look at your revenue, then look at the security of this revenue. So look at your contracts. Are they on 3-month notice, 6 months notice, rolling monthly, and weigh this over time. So that's your base. That's your base. So like I have 10 clients, 90% are on 12 months contracts. So I get security for this. That's layer number 1. Layer number 2, I'd analyze the results of these clients, the happiness of the clients, and score them, to see is there a risk of them leaving? Yes or no. So it's the second overlay. And then the third overlay is how much are we pitching? How was our pitch rate last year? We pitched 20 times, 1/2, that's 10. So theoretically, unless there's a massive macroeconomics storm coming, you can expect at least 80% of that, between 80 or 120% that next year. So that allows you to see how many people you need. And the way we always operate, and I mean, even previous agencies, you need roughly £10,000 per head. Moving to 12,000 with inflation lately, but between 10 and 12K per head. So if you have like 100,000 and you expect to have 150,000, you need to roughly hire 4 or 5 people more.
Okay, brilliant.
How often, do you find yourself and your team like conducting or just assessing when to bring in new hires? Do you do it every quarter or?
Yeah, every quarter, usually every quarter. I mean, we do analysis of our business every month now, to see where we at, what we've done, where we're going. then we plan with the new business team to see, well, we expect this amount of new business coming in. Do we have the capacity? Yes, no. If no, let's hire someone.
Okay, awesome.
Excellent. And out of curiosity, whenever you were with the startup, and you did decide to obviously grow and expand on the team,
Yeah.
did you go for a sort of bring in somebody who had 4 or 5+ years experience who could maybe hit the ground running, or were you looking at bringing in somebody who's a bit more greener and training them and molding them the way you guys wanted to?
So there's two different stories. At the startup, when we moved to the analytics team, we hired juniors on data analysis, on the junior data analyst, and a junior designer for data visualization, and trained together. Went to conferences, went to this, and just build it. When we launched a CRO offering, which needed a bit more work, we hired someone with a bit more experience. At Passion, where we wanted to launch the digital PR offering, that's not something that you just take out of the hat and it works. You need experience there. So it depends on the type of role, of job you ask them to do, and also how fast you want to grow that department. Because obviously, if you have 2 years, that's fine, you can train, and if you're all that. But if you need to launch the offering for big clients, you might need to hire someone that is already very experienced, because they will come with a lot of experience, but also contacts.
And at the minute, how are you finding sort of the hiring process? Is there an availability of candidates? Are you guys sort of struggling to find out the perfect candidate compared to maybe this time last year?
That's a good question. I feel, and I'm going to be very honest, I feel like there is a lot of candidates that started during COVID, their career, that didn't necessarily have the right training for the first 2 or 3 years, with working from home. I'm a very big believer of like be next to the person you want to train all the time, feel the vibe, train, tap to the shoulder, like, let's get on it. So I think there are candidates, but I think not all the candidates have the right experience, even though with the amount of time. Sorry, my daughter's open. Yeah, so it's tricky.
And where can those candidates improve? Is it their client-facing ability, or is it more sort of their tech knowledge?
I think there's a lot of client-facing, not issues, but a bit of a lack of, when I started, we used to go every week to clients, we take the train, we talk to them, we were in front of in a room of 10 people, like standing in front of a screen. And even though that was absolutely daunting when you start your career, it really forges like confidence after a while, instead of hiding behind a screen. And I think I do that with the team. I ask them to present pictures to me, and we do a bit more things in the office to present to more people, just because it's a good skill. Even when you get online afterwards, there's a different, and that's a tip for everyone who was just done online before. You can notice someone that has done face-to-face meetings before because of the way they talk, the way they move, the way they act, the way, like, it was all of a, it's like a play when you go to a pitch or a QBR, it's rehearsed. There is roles, there is energy, there is an act that you're doing, and I think there's a bit of a lack of this in the newer cohort, let's say, not the generation, the cohort of people. And it's not their fault. They just haven't been trained this way.
Yeah, no, I think I agree.
To actually maybe put you on the hot seat with that answer, do you have any advice to maybe those sort of candidates that haven't had in-person experience and are still working a remote role to help practice improving upon those skills, especially when doing online presentations and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I know a few people that literally did improv courses on theatre, comedy. I have someone who did comedy because it just loosen you up, you know. And I think again with imposter syndrome, if you come back to imposter syndrome again, like hiding behind a screen, and I say hiding not in a bad way, and that you are literally hiding behind a screen. You can have, like, I could be reading. If I move my eyes, answers on my left. I could have things on my right. You can have lots of crutches. So I would say maybe join a conference, a masterclass, offer your help, like joining a masterclass in person with people. If your role is fully remote and you don't want to change this, fine, but maybe around where you are, there are opportunities to be with other people, round tables, things like this, because that would really help your confidence. Because then you are with other people next to you and you talk to them and you say, oh, you have the same issue as me. I didn't know, because you always seem confident on the screen. But at the coffee after, they're just a person just like you. They have their own problems, their own fears, and that will help. I think that will help.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
No,
What
I think
a positive, uplifting way to end the webinar.
There's always a solution to everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that hit our half-an-hour mark. But Alex, thank you so much. That was such an interesting, insightful webinar, and just great answers. We were getting some positive feedback from our team members as well that are watching. So,
I'm glad.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing me in.
Definitely, and have a great weekend, and we'll chat soon.
And speak soon. Thank you.
Cheers, Alex.
Bye.